Hey, good morning, everyone. We're starting another Kung Fu Talk, your favorite martial arts podcast. Before introducing our next guest, I just want to ask you to please share, comment, like, subscribe into our channel, comment, and make sure leave your thoughts. What do you think about our episodes? If you can give us maybe someone that if you could comment someone that you would like us to interview, go ahead and get in touch with the person so we can see we can have and bring in this person into our show. Normally, we bring people related to martial arts, involved into martial arts. So today, I have a guy that knows everything about movie directing, movie stunt, choreography, movie editing, which is Rick Patiño. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thank you for bringing me to the podcast. You know,
It's an honor to have you here, and then we're gonna chat a lot about how to produce a movie, like how those things works. We see a lot of martial arts, especially back in the days. We as a martial artist practitioners, we were probably how do I call inspired by many different movies such as movie actors Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan back in the days. Now Donnie Yen with the Ip Man, and I would love to ask you many different questions. Let's see how the time goes so we can go over our conversation and see what we can talk about.
that sounds great.
Absolutely. So, how did you get first involved into martial arts? Let's talk about your martial arts experience prior, before talking about your career path into movie making. How did you get involved into it?
So it was very interesting because my brother, he was already my older brother. He was already in martial arts. So I started in a style that probably people would not imagine, but it was judo. My brother was practicing judo. It's a really weird, probably judo that people might not have a lot of knowledge about because this judo did have strikes. It was an old, really old version, and the training was really hard. It was not competitive judo. I think that most of the techniques that we used to have, they were not allowed for actually competition. So it, I was 4 years old. So I started in martial arts and when I was 4 years old, and it was really impressive. All the training. So after that, like I say, my brother was always in martial arts, and from there I kind of figured out my path. So then my brother was invited to this school, which was a karate school, but they used like black gi. They were like military style. So my brother was introduced to Kembo, which is a martial art from original from Hawaii. So the story behind Kembo is that around the 1940s, like five grandmasters from different styles, including Tang Sudo, Judo Kodokan, Jujutsu, Karate, Kempo, Tang Sudo, and Chinese boxing, especially Siulum and Hongar, they gathered together and it was kind of a club. And the idea was apparently there was a lot of criminality happening in Hawaii at that time. So they gathered together and they fight each other. And when they were fighting each other, they was try to see how one beats another one and try to incorporate that into a system. So originally they were what they it was called the Black Belt Society. So it was never considered a specific style. It's more a system. Depending on the years, maybe on the era, on the needs, another grandmaster from another style might jump in and then will add. anything that works. So it's a little bit of a concept that you find in Jeet Kune Do, which is interesting because there's a branch of Kajukenbo that is a branch of Jeet Kune Do and Kajukenbo. And Bruce Lee, he had the opportunity at some point to train with someone from Kajukenbo. It's some of those stuff in the history of martial art that are like lost, and you have to try to find them out. But yeah, so Kaji Campbell was a brutal art. We didn't use any protecting gear at that point, especially when I was young. We will we will do stuff like crazy, like fighting everybody inside. Like they would say, like, okay, they close doors, free for all. This is the streets. This is how it works. So um, you will have to fight everyone, and if you weren't on the floor, you they will say like, "Hey, you have to get up. You know, you have to find your way out." So the good thing about being involved in Kaji Kembo was the experience of every time they bring grandmasters, they will actually be really good grandmasters from different styles that were all also in Kaji Kembo. So from there, I met people that were in Filipino, Kali, Doce Pares, different styles of Kali, even Silat. And there was my opportunity to meet this guy who was in Hungar. He was in Hungar in another styles of Kung Fu. And I remember the first time I saw him doing the tiger and the full hook. I was like, oh, okay, this is another thing. And from there, I was always inspired by Bruce Lee, Jackie Chan, John Bew, Sammo Hung, especially a lot Bruce Lee because my father will ask, we'll go and rent movies. So we were always watching like Kung Fu movies, all Kung Fu movies. And, the nunchakus, it was like, oh, I want to learn that. And so I think that that was something that kept me trying to learn more. So from Hungar, I spent a lot of years in Hungar, and then I have to move because of college. So I start to experience almost everything. Every time I found somebody was doing martial arts, I would say like, "Hey, can we practice? Can we do a fight? Can we do?" So I did some Aikido Jiu-Jitsu, Aikido. I used to compete in wrestling and judo at college because it was they have a team, and they help with paying the stuff and the fees. So I was competing in judo, but still I was like, oh, I still need to get back to kung fu. So I found this guy that he was a Wing Chun master. And the funny story is that, I seen Wing Chun, I saw the Wing Chun dummy and all the stuff, especially because you have the from Bruce Lee, a little bit of that knowledge. But the interesting thing is that this guy only had one arm. And I was like, okay, it's a grandmaster in Wing Chun, and he has one arm. And I just went to his house. I have to see him for myself. And then I saw that he was training people from the police and a lot of people from guards and stuff. And I'll say like, and he will be like, "You want to challenge me? Anyone wants to challenge me?" And I saw how this small guy, with just one hand, he would be like boom, 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 and throwing people to the ground, controlling them. And I was like, no, I have to practice this. And so I jumped into Wing Chun. It took me a while to understand it. I would say that it's more complicated than what people think about the system. I think it takes many years to understand the structure of your body in related to what you're doing more than just doing the form. So yeah, I think Wing Chun was a really interesting one. So this guy, they combine Duncandian lineage, which is more like a combat Wing Chun, with Kali, and then I found out how the similarities from both styles were like, oh, okay, we do this, we do the chisel, but here we have something like it's the chisel, and how it's structured, how we get in, the angles, the triangle movement, like, oh, it makes sense. It complements a lot. So the funny thing is that going years after, now I kind of figure out that that's like the big thing. The big thing is the Kali with the winch, and that's something that they have been incorporating in movies. So I'm like, oh, okay, so we were more advanced in time. But I experienced a lot from wushu. I did dragon kung fu, which is rare. Um, Traditional Shaolin, Siulun, Five Animals, and still experimenting with stuff, especially because in stunts is really challenging because depending on what you're trying to do or what you want to do different, you will have to do research. Like right now, I've been for a couple of months training something that's super weird, but it's pirate training. So we were training all the weapons from that era, and it's training the weapons, training the mindset of how in that era were, they will have to like they wouldn't have any space probably to fight. Why was the weapons they used for? And it was a toy changing the mindset. And now it's like, okay, I can incorporate this in modern times and with other stuff. So it's very interesting because it's always a challenging thing of learning. Right now, I'm really interested. Ronald knows that I've been backmate because most of the time when you go to a shot in film, you will end up at some point into a medium shot, right? So the legs probably you won't see them too much, but you could see some flashing hands and certain styles are super good for that. You can then show maybe a big kick to throw somebody out, but at the end you have a really tight action happening, and yeah, you have all those hands and all those movement, even the shoulder foot. So yeah, but I experienced a lot. I would say that at this point in my life, I'm really a combination of all the things because of I would say the demanding thing of the stunt industry. You still have to learn and adapt, and if there's a new trend, they will start incorporating films, and even if it's something you haven't practiced as a martial arts, you have to get the structure, to learn the structure. Like right now, a lot of grappling has been used, like jiu-jitsu, judo. John Wick, they use a lot of judo. They use a lot of machado jiu-jitsu. So yeah, it's always always changing, always adapting.
That's amazing. That's beautiful. Yeah, it's nice that you got all this huge background into experiment martial arts, practiced it for a while, and then I would assume you can correct me if I'm wrong. You have actually a good experience when, and I also use from your background experience to use as a creativity on the movies and to shape the actors and the stunts when you guys are filming. So it's not just like, for example, like I watch a movie and then I see, a movement. Oh, I know that this is this style and that style. But when you guys are recording and doing the things that you guys have to do like 1,000 times and redo it and reshape it, and then when you have this huge background experience, you're able to connect and then what's it called? And actually shape to the way that you guys want it and the way that better well, how do I say how the better the actor can perform as well,
Yes,
correct?
yes, and especially, um, I think that after doing traditional martial arts and training in the traditional schools, I think that now this new approach of learning how the stunts work is really interesting because um, we have a short amount of time to understand probably a martial art because we have to see, okay, what's this martial art is about, how it solves problems. Is it short distance, medium range, long range? Is this striking, or is a combination of striking and grappling? It's fast movement, slow movement. Is the structure just there? So we have to figure out a lot of stuff because it's a combination of talking to the directors and then trying to see their vision, and then from the vision trying to figure out what works better for it. For example, I would say that when I told about the Jeet Kune Do and the Kayu Kembo, because in the end those were our systems that they combine different martial arts, and most of what you see like right now is a combination of that. It's like people are watching, and people that actually do martial arts will say like, oh, that's like an Aikido movement. Oh, but that's not like a Wing Chun. Oh, there's like, oh, he did Kali over there. So the I think the trending right now is that is having that conversation of wait, multiple martial arts, they can work together, and showing that depending on what you need, you have a response for that. Because let's say like the actor at some point of the movie, he is a guy that he don't want to confront nobody. Maybe if he doesn't want to confront nobody, maybe Aikido would be a really good portraying of just letting people go, letting go that energy and not doing any confrontation. Let's say they kill some family members, and then now he switched to this guy that is a totally different character. Now he's not gonna let people like, no, no, he's gonna confront, and he's gonna be more brutal, maybe a mutai, maybe more elbows, because this guy, his mindset is in a different approach. So you have to like be thinking about the character, what you want to portray, what martial art might be really good to portray that in. And another stuff is like, for example, let's say like the character that's fighting on the movie, you don't want him to be too stylish because maybe that's what the director want, that he's this guy that he just fighting, he looks good, but he actually don't know anything about martial arts. So then you have to say, okay, this punch that I do really in a really good stylish way, now I have to dirty it. I have to make it look like, boom, he just tried, he doesn't know how, but it worked. So, oh, he used his environment. That's why Kali has taken a lot from the industry because of the idea of, okay, I do this with the hands. I take a stick, I can do it. I can take a knife, I can do it. I can take a bottle and still do it. So it's easy when you're working with an actor, like throw a line one, throw a line two, throw a line three, oh, a line five. So it's good for communicating with other people. I think that's one of the reasons why it got so much of hype. Because it's easy when you're working with people that they don't have any background. It's like throw an X, and you can even draw an X and just follow your hands, and they are easy to get that information from other styles that probably would be more intricate movement. I think the challenging part for kung fu to be in films is that it's not that people don't like it, because people love kung fu. The problem is that people know that it's challenging. People see kung fu as something that is challenging because it's like, oh wow, but he did that butterfly kick, or that cartwheel, or that movement with the hands. How do I do that? So when you see somebody doing anything that is kung fu in a movie, you say like, no wait, this guy knows what he's doing. This guy is an athlete. This guy is been training hours and hours. That jump like Sammo Hung, you can't do that. So that's why you go then to Marvel superheroes movie, and then you see a lot of flips, a lot of being twisting, because you're expecting from a superhero world that everything is exaggerated, everything is more stylish than probably a film of, I don't know, maybe even in John Wick, you see that he struggles, he throws people, but he's not perfect. So you see this person that live in a world that he has his own obstacles and challenge, and then you see these Marvel movies where you cannot touch the character. He just punch you or throw you away. So yeah, I think that the combinations of styles is like right now one of the trending. Even though I I think I'm starting to see it's always a circle. So I'm starting to see the Hong Kong style slowly getting again, because if you see the trailer for, I think it's the new 87 action movie that's going to come out in February, there's a lot in it that is Hong Kong style, and another thing behind the film industry is that you have to think that there's is a business, so you have to think about target market. So you have a really big target market in Asia, because you have China that has a lot of people. So whatever you do that in a way it will sell for that, you will guarantee return of investment, which is the part of the business. So you see a lot of the Korean, Japanese shows that are coming out. Like right now, I was watching House of Ninjas, and I was like, wow, that's like watching the ninja movies from 90s, or kind of. I'm like, wow, I don't, I felt that, and I know that there's a lot of people that they like that. And then I started like watching like different Korean series and stuff, and wait, that's like a Funkan style thing that they did over there. So I think in a way you will see a little bit more of it coming on, especially um I think Paramount Picture bought it's called Tiger Media. So they came out with Kung Fu Games, Lady Scorpion, which has Cynthia Rock, and a couple of movies that they're all like these 80s, 90s action flicks that they have like martial arts integrated. So there might be something happening right there.
That's amazing. Wow, it's way more deep than we actually think about it. Like, I didn't know that. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong. So the style does really influence into the fight scene, right?
Yes, yes. Like I think what Bruce Lee did in a way it transcend more than when people realize because he was somebody that was researching martial arts, but at the same time he was in the entertainment industry. So it's like I have to portray a really good acting, but at the same way he was, you know, uh, he trained like nobody else, and he was always researching. So in doing that, he kind of figured out a really good formula that I think that up to today, I would say that is there. Is there. Because if you look for a lot of the big people in the film industry, especially fight choreographers, I would say even stunt coordinators, in some way they are there have a reference to Jeet Kune Do, to Danny No Santo in a way, in a maybe in a lineage you find
Mm.
that. So yeah, yeah, I would say. And in the other side, then if you go by Alda Casco and the Eric Lee lineage, I seen stunt coordinators that then were students from Eric Lee or Marta Cascos, which is also from Cayo Campbell, because Marta Cascos, Alda Cascos' son, he was in Cayo Campbell. He did practice capoeira and other styles, but it's because in Cayo Campbell they have been incorporated. So it's the same principle of adapting, evolving, and adding stuff.
That's amazing. How do you guys prepare physically for the demanding roles that involves into martial arts or stunts? For example, before starting the show, we were talking offline uh, about your workshops. You just came from a Shaolin workshop. Do you
Yes,
guys also? That's why you guys normally do like the different workshops with different masters, so you guys
yes.
can kind of understand fight scenes.
I will say that I thought that when I was a martial artist, that I was training a lot until I got into stunts. Because in stunts, it's not it's not only training one aspect of martial art. It's like, for example, you might be doing like normally we'll warm up doing like 100 of just horse stance and moving our hips from that position. So we will do a lot of stuff that's really demanding. Like from there, we might go into do some rolls, jumping rolls, dive rolls, back rolls, and then probably doing an hour of side falls, scorpion, um, different flips that demands a lot of your body. And not only your body is learning how your body works, because for example I can show you a roll and then you kind of figure out, I say like, oh wait, it hurts here, then you have to adapt that roll that you're able to do it without pain. Why? Because for example you're on set and they say like, we're gonna film this 100 times. You have to find a way to do it in a safe way. So everybody's body is different. Maybe the spine is in a way, and then you have to work of okay, when I'm going to fall, even a side fall is this way. I have to move my arm so it doesn't cause any pain because you rely on that. It's a lot of safety. You have to think a lot about the safety. So let's say that after an hour of that, then you go to flips, then then you go to wires, which is another whole world because now it's body awareness in the air. You're just flying through the air. Somebody, people are just pulling you
Mhm.
with cables. You're floating in the air, which is super intense because it's not the same thing when you're doing a flip right in the same spot. But when you're flipping and they pulling you in cables and you're flipping from here to maybe a car down here, it's like I cannot move so fast. I have to control my body so that my movement goes as how I'm traveling to get to the other point. There's a lot of happening in the wires, and then that's like another whole training. And then apart from that, doing some gymnastics and doing martial arts, weapon training, a lot of weapon training. I would say that there's a lot, every weapon that you can imagine, tactical gun, arms, ball, knife, machete, everything. So so it's like constantly training like every single week, and then you get the opportunity to have like really um workshops that are like really unique. For example, I say that I'm being blessed because I had the opportunity to train with 8711. I have the opportunity to train with Hugh. Hugh is amazing. He is from Machado Jiu Jitsu, and he's just amazing. He in the way he treats martial arts, it's like a very philosophical way, and he's able to transmit what he wants, and he's able to put everybody on the mindset. So he goes from a really soft, slow thing that builds up into these brutal scenes that you see in 8711, like John Wick stuff. And then I had the opportunity to train with Alvin, which Alvin is he's also from 8711. He does a lot of the Kali. If you saw the movie Dune, he's the guy behind the fight scenes, and he's just amazing. He's has a lot of knowledge, but I'm telling you, like training with them is as hard as training any traditional martial art. There's no there's no space for doing something wrong, because if you think in this way, when you're filming a shot, you're probably working. Let's say you're working with Tom Cruise. You cannot hit him. You cannot hit his face. They say, and then they say like, "Oh, you're gonna do a fight sequence with him." So you really have to be on point. Like a lot of footwork. There's in stunts. There's a lot of footwork. Like you never imagine. I never thought how important it was footwork in martial arts until I got to stunts, because stepping two times is not the same as stepping one time, and keeping my head is not as going up and down like in the forms. So then you start realizing like, oh, this is important. So we might train only footwork for an hour, just footwork, because then you have footwork different from different styles. What if I want to portray a taekwondo kick? Oh, my footwork is different. What if I am a boxer? Oh, my footwork is different. I'm a multi fighter, or I'm a Shaolin guy. My footworks are different. And then combining my footwork with the other person's footwork, because it's like a dancing thing, and going over and over and over, because once they put the camera, you can't get out of the frame, so you have to keep that footwork on point. So there's a lot of training, I would say. Like Like yesterday, we were like almost 5 hours, and the day before, we were like almost 5 hours straight, like training.
Wow. It's impressive that exploring a little bit more into the demanding of the fight scene. Martial arts, we normally practice how to hit and how to not to get hit. On movie making, you have to practice how to get hit because you have to actually portray that scene, like to really know how to get, like how somebody would get shot, how somebody would get hurt in that scene. How are you gonna be getting a punch and then falling. Like it's very interesting because it requires a lot, and then you have to produce something that actually really happened. It's not some movies they have a lot of fantasy, but like the majority of the time you have to portray like what really happening in that moment.
Yeah, one of the most difficult thing I think in stunts is that people forget about that there's acting to it, right? And it's not just hitting and receiving the punch. It's now working with the scene. Do I get the punch and I fall to the ground, or is it a scene where I get the punch and then I go back? Is this a scene that I get punched in the side, or I'm like, oh, hit me again? So there's a lot of happening with the reactions. So we do practice, like also for an hour, just reactions, body reactions, of facial reaction, because in stunts, usually we don't hit each other. We work a lot with something we call casting, and casting is the ability, like if I put my arm here, it's like it goes, it goes, it goes, it goes, it goes. So I'm not hitting the person. I have to have that control that it doesn't matter how fast I'm throwing, I have the awareness that I'm not gonna hit that person. And then I am portraying my energy, my technique, but at the same time, I'm able to control it so we can repeat the scene over and over and over and over and over. And then you have to, the most difficult part is the camera awareness, because the camera awareness will tell you, yeah, in real life, a punch should be like probably to the face, but then depending on the angle, it's like,
Mhm.
where is the camera where that punch sells? And then probably you might be throwing it up here and the face be down here, but because of the camera angle, it stacks and it looks like you're hitting the person. I think that one of the person that really, really, really didn't make me understand that was a friend from Puerto Rico. His name is Jose Manuel. They call him Shallow. They call him the Latin Jackie Chan. So Jose Manuel, I was filming with him, and I didn't have any experience like back then on Hong Kong style. And he said like, no, you're gonna do this. And my mindset from martial arts was saying like, this is wrong. And he said, don't worry, you will see. And I was doing stuff. And then when he showed me in the camera, I was like, wow, that looks like the movies. I felt like, yes. And then he said, yeah, because when you're working with the camera, it's all about the camera. If you're focusing only on the real world, you're seeing through your eyes, but you're not seeing how in the camera it looks. And then I learned the idea of stacking, how you put something and you put something and watching it from one side, one angle, it looks in certain way. I could be kicking over here and the face of the person be over here, but because the camera is over there, it actually looks you're hitting the person. So sometimes a lot of hits might be a feet away from actual the person. And then it's a combination of the reaction with that motion. So there's a lot of training, especially with reactions that we have to do.
That's interesting. And how do you balance being a martial artist and being an actor in and is there any different in those roles? For example, you were talking about practicing like as I was saying, normally martial arts we just practice both things. We don't practice reacting like when we're practicing in class. Normally, sometimes some styles like judo, shuai jiao, you practice how to fall. Some that you practice how to fall, but not many styles we practice. How to get hit. Okay, so hit me now so I can kind of see how it works, and then I'm gonna react it back. No, that happens in
Yeah.
sparring, which you get hit, but you have all the gears and all the equipments, and then you figure it out what you're gonna do next. How does it work in those two different roles for acting and
So
martial arts?
so so I'm going to tell you. I will say that as a stunt and an actor, you have to look a little bit about your niche. Why? Because, for example, um, in the United States they do stuff one way, but that's not the only way they do it in the whole world. Because if you go to Tony Jaa, they hit each other. You know, they do take the hits. And for example, a friend of mine right now, which is one of which we always doing stuff and we train. I'm used to Kayukembo, which was a hard style, and we really hit each other. And when I'm doing stuff with him, he's from Thailand, so he comes from Muay, and he comes from that Tony Jaa, styles. When we do
Mhm.
some stuff together, I'm like, no, you're gonna hit my body. Give me that kick. So you have that communication with depending on which person you're working with, and the only thing that is I would say that for me right now, the I would say the trendings in the United States are a little bit more difficult for a martial artist. Why I say that? Because let's say that in martial arts you used to have your guard up here protecting your face, right? Then when you go to film, you have to show your face, and now it's like I'm
Mm.
showing my face, which you won't do that in a real fight. So
Mhm.
you have to change your mindset. Okay, I'm fighting. No, I'm in a film. And another thing is like, for example, in film, you want to exaggerate. You want to open and telegraph your movement so the other person knows what you're doing. Because when you have the adrenaline of the camera, it doesn't matter how many times you rehearsal the scene. At some point, you start like seeing like mistakes. So you try to exaggerate stuff so people get that awareness. I'm throwing you this, and you having enough time to say, okay, he's not reacting. I have to stop at some point. So I think that's the biggest challenge in terms of martial arts. But like I say, it's like it depends a lot from what style you're portraying, who you're working with, because like who was I know that there was this guy, I forgot his name. I think it was Scott Atkins. Atkins was fighting in a fight scene with somebody that I know, and then the guy say like, you know what, you're my hero. If you don't do the side kick, I'm gonna take it. And for the movie, he actually does a side kick, and it looks super real because it was real. So it was a communication. He said, "No, in this scene, um, I'm just gonna take that." So yeah, there's a lot of I would say communication between what you're doing and their different style. You have Korean style, you have a Hong Kong style, you have the American style. Some blends together, and eventually they will come up with something new. Somebody will create some new style. That was one of the biggest issues when Born Identity, the movie came out. Like there were a lot of people that they were mad because they were saying, "Ah, but it has so many cuts. It has so many cuts." But at the same time, that idea of the cuts create a more crisp, brutal scenes that nobody was doing before. So they just introduced a new style.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's amazing. And how do you approach shooting an action scene to make them more dynamic and engaging? For example, you told us about the angle that is very important, the camera that is very important. What else would you say exploring this part would be more dynamic to engage in a fight scene?
So okay, I think one of the first thing is that we do a lot of we always say slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Don't go fast, go slow. So we do the thing is like match your energy. So when you're working with somebody, don't go faster than the other person. It's both have to go at the same speed, and we start like super slow. What happen if I throw you this? So you have like thousand ideas in your mind and you come up with something and like okay, and now I can react with this, and then it's like where is the camera? Okay, the camera is gonna be here. Oh, so I need to show my face, I need to open my chest. So you're working with a combination of stuff, but you start really slow, and then from there, once you go a little bit faster, then it's like how we make it look that is not a fight sequence, that is actually a fight. Then comes your acting. Then probably from starting here, you're starting here, and then you're putting your character. I don't know. You throw something to the person, and then you during those movements, like probably how somebody will do it in the real world, so it doesn't look completely in a finesse form or a stylish form, but more of a brutal. Oh, he hit me. It really hurts. I cannot use this leg anymore for a while, so I'm gonna hit you this way. Yeah. So then you start taking that and and making adjustment, but always keeping in mind that it's like you're dancing with your partner and you have to work for the camera. The director might say, change it on set. And you have to really have a lot of tools. That's why martial arts are important because you have to have a lot of tools in your mind because the director will change it. They will say like, oh, okay, but what if now the guy grabs this and then, oh, okay, and then you have all those variables of okay, I have to block now, but I have to show my face to the camera. I have to disarm, and now I have to make it look good. What I will use? Will I use Aikido? Will I use Shaolin for this, or it will be a karate hard style? So you have to be prepared all the time, and that's what you do on the lab. The lab will be like when you're not actually filming, then you're training and training and training, and training with different people. I will say that one of the best thing that's as a stunt we can do is like train with female other female stunts or actors, because you get a lot of different body types, size, and a different awareness. Like probably guy I might be hitting this way. Oh, how I'm gonna be hitting a woman? Will I be using the same force? Will I be like in a between of I'm gonna use the force, but my mind is like, so it's a more complicated and challenging mentally mindset. How will I make that look good? You know, or I don't care. I'm just gonna. So it's working with different people, different sizes, different ages. Um, is the best, and it's like this dancing, like I say, matching the energy from like the chisel.
Hmm.
I would say it's like a chisel matching the energy.
That's great. Are there any specific techniques or tools or style do you prefer when you're working behind the scenes?
The thing is that because of my background,
Hmm.
flashing hands will always come in because in Kayokewa we have Kempo. And we then I have Wing Chun, then I have Kali, and I think one of the concepts that I try to use, like, think about, like, if I react to this, I will have like 3 or 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, okay, and then I will come with the other person from that place. Throw me 3 beats. Let's see how they works. Let's see how they interact. And but I think at this point, it's 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 really difficult because I know my body will always add some. I will always add kung fu, even if it's at the end. I will then stand in a way that it's like this is my position. So yeah, it's a little bit complicated.
When it comes about acting, have you ever had to improvise? I mean, of course, you guys have to improvise things doing during acting and during recording movies. What would you say would be the most unexpected challenge doing filming from all your career path time?
So, so this is the funny thing. I think, the funny part is that the guy that I have to portray is always totally the opposite from who I am.
Uh-huh.
So I would say that the thing that has helped me a lot is that I love watching movies since I was a kid. I watch every single movie that comes out, from everything like sci-fi, adventure, horror, whatever. So what I do is I try to imagine films. If I was this guy from this film, how do I look? How do my character has to portray? But it's funny because I would say like 99% of the time I am either a bad guy or somebody from the bad guys. So then I have to change my whole character, my face, my facial expression, and all this stuff, into portraying that type of character. The energy is different. Is this aggressive? Is this a really bad psychological character that knows exactly how it's gonna kill the other one? It's very very interesting because it's a psychological preparation. And even when you're doing a fight, you go to the fight, probably when you practice in the fight, it's just a normal fight. But now, now when we're gonna shoot, it's like, okay, now I'm gonna get the character, and now changing facial expressions, eyes. It's funny because a friend of mine, we were shooting a scene and we were together, and he knows me, and then he say like, Ricky, you look so bad. You look like a really bad guy. I'm I'm changing my facial expressions for the character, and then I did recently I did something that was more comedy, and it was really fun because it was more of an action comedy and getting into this funny character that was fighting with somebody, but he was a friend. So there was a different approach because it was not about hitting him hard. It was more of a, we're having fun. We're just trying to get these keys for a car and stuff like that. More Jackie Chan vibes.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Talking about Jackie Chan, you see that lately, it's not coming up like movies like that we used to see back in the 80s and the 90s, like with Jackie Chan, Jet Li. So those big names. Do you think who is there anybody that, in your opinion, will maybe come back with the same idea that they used to have?
So
Because
it's funny because yesterday somebody I was talking exactly about this yesterday. A friend of mine asking me this. I will say that I think the guys that probably might be the the future, if I would say in around that, are the guys from Martial Art Club. I think
I
I
love them.
think
They are the best.
I think since they started the YouTube channel, watching from even the first low budget stuff, I was like, yeah, this is the next Sammo Hung, the next
Mhm.
Jackie Chan
Jackie Chan.
guys, and yeah, I think that for this new generation, you have the martial art club, which also some of my friends from our school dropouts, they're entirely into Hong Kong style. Everything they do has that vibe. They still, I think there's a lot. I think there's a misconception about that. This type of movie, they like they're dead or something like that.
Hmm.
I would say that it's more about the film business. The film business say I'm gonna promote this, so everybody thinks this is the only thing everybody wants. But in reality, something that is like from the business part, they say we're gonna make horror movies only for the next 4 years. Well, for the next 4 years, you see that, but it doesn't mean that they're not people interested in this. And you can see it right now because, for example, like from all the workshops, one of the workshops with more people has been the kung fu workshops right now. So then there are a lot of people that still they like the kung fu. But if you look like, for example, in some areas in the United States, all that you see is like taekwondo schools or karate schools. It doesn't mean that there are people that don't want to practice kung fu. It means that they are not probably schools in the area, and they have to practice what is available for them. So they might get into other martial arts, and I think that there's a lot of lack of knowledge from kung fu because all that we've seen is probably nowadays like MMA and UFC as the only concept for saying a martial art is good or bad, but people are not able to experiment. Like yesterday, there were a lot of people like, "This is Shaolin. This is, my body hurts." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." I was like, "And this is Shaolin. That still you can stand up. If you go to certain styles like Hunger, that you will be like parallel to the ground most of the time. Your legs you won't feel them after a while. So and then the power, like, oh wow, the power of the punch, and I say yes. Once you get like, for example, I'm really fan of Tiger Claw, and I have a friend who is he's a Sifu from Tiger Claw. And if you see that guy fighting, he fights. He actually fights, and it's insane. And probably people will be thinking that it's from any other style, and no, it's kung fu. It's Tiger Claw, and and yeah, I think that.
That's amazing. That's great. What advice would you give to inspire stands and performer who wants to break in the industry? New people that's coming up. What would you just say is the best guide, or what to do, how to get there?
I I would think that nowadays the good thing is that first, Cell phones are so good. Like the camera from the iPhone, it's like I have a friend that was in the Batman versus Superman movie, and he told me that for some scenes they actually incorporated the iPhone. So there are movies that probably that's the camera because of what they need that solve their problem. So I say that if it doesn't matter where you are, gather like friends together and start shooting stuff. Start shooting stuff because I would say there's no such thing as right or wrong. Everybody has a way of telling a story. So tell your story. There's no right, this is the only right way or this is the only way of doing it. It's like tell your story, you will learn by practicing. Having that engaged with the camera will help a lot. It doesn't matter if you do taekwondo, if you do karate, if you do anything. Like this week, I was shooting with the guys from Cobra Kai. So a lot of the performers that are friend of mine, and we just got together. We put some gi, and we went and to a dojo. We started shooting. We were like, we're bored. We're gonna try to do something. And we did this whole karate fight sequence, and we just shoot it. And yes, I would say especially from everything in the film industry. The good thing about stunts is that stunts are fan. Stunts are fan. It's just these are the only crazy people that you would say like, hey, what if you jump and I don't know, smash to them? Oh yes, I want to do it. So it's like that. It's like we watch movies. Like I've seen a lot of people in the film industry that they don't watch movies. Stunts usually they watch movies. They would be like, "Oh, you watch that? Oh, yes, no, that Jackie Chan. Oh, of course, yeah. Let's do that. This move of that." We watch movies, so have fun. I would say like have fun, and you know, eventually, like somebody. I think that I'm going to tell you this. My first experience as coordinating something for a TV show, I was just doing. I just got there because I needed help from the guy who was directing the TV show. Because I had this idea, and he has all the police stuff, arms, and all the stuff. And I say, oh, perfect, that will work for something that I was doing. So he said, like, hey, I need a background for Saturday, and I say, okay, I'm not doing anything. So when I went to the show, he say, like, can you say a line? And I'm like, I have never done it before. Okay, I say a line. And he say, okay. Oh, can you say another line? Oh, okay. Then he say like, can you come next week? I'm like, okay. And then it happened like for a couple of days and weeks, and they like, hey, people like your character, so now you're gonna be like one of the characters. So I was an undercover cop. So there was this day that was supposed to have a brawl, right, with a fight sequence and all the stuff. So the fight coordinator didn't show up, and then the director say like, "Is there anybody here that you know?" And then this guy went to me and he said, "Hey, Ricky, do you want to do it?" And I say, "Okay, let's do it." So because I was there, the opportunity came, and I was able to show what I know. And from there, they call me to another one. They call me to another one. They call me to another one. So you know, and how was my approach? I was like always imagine myself thinking about the movies. Like, oh wow, like this movie. Oh, like I don't know, Steven Seagal. Oh, he would do this, and that's how. I think that most of the stuff, that's how we work. We will be like, oh, that's what John Bill will do. Oh, or Eco Wise. Oh, that's like the raid. You know, that's probably how we communicate. You know, we will use like many movies as reference, many. Scott Asking, Michael Saror, I don't know, Marta Cascos, or we will always have this type of relating stuff.
This fight scene, I mean, the scene that you were talking about, is that the one that you posted a little while ago? That was like you were in an interrogation room, and then you were with a guy, and then you guys start breaking up and fight.
Yes, so that was part of it, and then because yeah, and then I was supposed to be an undercover cop, and then there was a scene that they arrest me and they throw me inside a
Yeah.
van, and then it goes on into a fight scene, which I was already like a cop with a gun, and then I fight this guy. He throws me to the ground. And that was like the first one that got me into doing more stuff for the show. And then the last one we did for the show was like it has like a lot. Like it was a hallway, disarming people with fighting with guns, and yeah, and I never imagined, I never imagined that. And always what it helped me was that it was like, oh, like this movie. Oh, I feel I am in like this movie. Okay, how I would do this and that, and yeah. I'm hoping like right now, the next thing probably is gonna be a Hong Kong style. And
Nice.
I'm getting back into yeah, yeah. Of my friend, we started shooting some movie called Body Game, which is a movie based on Puerto Rico. It's based on the Tainos, and it's like a mix between National Treasure, Indiana Jones, and Jackie Chan. And um, we're probably going to try to finish it, and it's going to have a lot of stuff like Hong Kong style.
Nice.
So,
That's amazing to see traditional martial arts coming up back again, and like we see,
yes,
like we
I
saw in Ip
think
Man and stuff.
I think that the one of the best thing that happened to martial arts right now in terms of film, it was Cobra Kai,
Mhm.
because it introduced martial arts to film to young people in a new era. And I'm telling you, like right now, for example, here in Atlanta, like almost everybody working on Cobra Kai. So even though the show, it ended, it's like still people are like, no way, we're gonna still doing this stuff. There's that vibe of, yeah, let's shoot something, let's do something. So there was this guy, he's filming a Hong Kong style movie. He just finished doing some shots over here. Now he's gonna film some shots in UK, but he's coming back to Atlanta to finish the movie. And the coordinator is Jeff Pruitt. So Jeff Pruitt, he was the original coordinator for the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers and Buffy the Vampire Slayer. He is amazing. I know him personally, and that guy is when you talk to him, you start to realizing how challenging it was for the Power Rangers, and the way they had to shoot, and the way they had to create so many stuff so fast with just a couple of people, like interchanging them so that it looks like there was a lot of people. And but yeah, Jet Puri is and it's a Hong Kong style movie.
That's amazing. That's really nice to hear from you. Honestly, I have 1,000 questions, but I really want to bring you back for another episode so we can chat more about Bruce Lee, about the difference between old school filming, stunt, and things. And yeah, I really want to thank you for your participation today. Thank
I
you so much
appreciate
for coming.
it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you so much.
Thanks
Go
to
ahead.
you for having me here. So yeah, I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you. Thank you so much for for coming. It's been an honor for you to show up and then show a little bit of your experience talking about different styles of moving. I bet that's very interesting. And again, I definitely want you back for a next episode, the part two, talking about we discuss a little bit more
Perfect.
some so in the future. And if you are here watching this episode too now, make sure that you also see our episode on Spotify. So if you don't want to watch on YouTube, you can listen to Spotify. It will be the episode will be available there. Again, Ricky, thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
showing up. Thank you for sharing your experience, and you have a great time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys.
See.
Have a wonderful day. Bye bye.
All right.